The way people watch TV is really different now. I think that what we're going to see is so much TV content emerging on YouTube. There's a huge opportunity there for catalog of TV content to find its place in this new world order. The benefit of YouTube is that you can reach these broader audiences and then within the same ecosystem, pull them in to engage with your long form content. And then because they're already there and they're already talking to other fans in the comments section, they can start doing things like buying your merch or subscribing to your membership platform and getting engaged in a much deeper way than they could before. I've seen firsthand the skepticism for a long time, quickly followed up by fear and uncertainty. But if we can look at these new platforms with curiosity and excitement, it's unlimited what you can do.
Welcome to the podcast, Amelia.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for having me.
So you're the Director of Strategy and Content at Totem Global. I think Totem are an absolutely fascinating company. You've been such trailblazers and leaders in this new generation of media. And if people haven't heard of you, they definitely would have seen the content that you've put out through TikTok and YouTube. Totem first came to my attention when you did this unbelievable thing with the legacy television show Bondi Rescue. You took it and you made it YouTube friendly. And in doing so, you've given it this whole other life and created millions and millions of views all around the world, which is so interesting. You guys have really been pioneers for social first content while the rest of us are scrambling to catch up. So I want to talk to you about what you've learned and how do we get to where you guys are at?
Yeah, I really appreciate it and excited to talk about all those things.
So you describe Totem as a digital first entertainment brand. What does that exactly mean? What is it that you do?
Basically, we started out as a consultancy, considering ourselves to be experts in the social media space and how you can build businesses and build operating models and content strategies around accelerated audience growth. And so we're working a lot with clients who were facing a lot of disruption in the media landscape and trying to figure out what their next step was going to be. And eventually, we also started to run our own channels as well. So we run our own entertainment brands as well as those of our partners, and we still continue to consult to companies around the world to help them navigate this changing space.
We all need a bit of that. And you started in this digital space over 10 years ago. Can you give us a summary of the changes you've seen over that time?
One of the big changes has been seeing the industry go from really skeptical, seeing things, this is like a fad or something, to now really looking at ways to embrace it or figuring out how they're going to play in this space. Another thing that's changed a lot, of course, is audience consumption habits. The way people watch TV is really different now. The way people find their entertainment that they want to watch is really different. YouTube was 3-minute clips 10 years ago, and now it's the most watched app on connected TVs. So people, lean back and watch their 1-hour YouTube binging experience these days. And so, things like that have really changed up in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that idea that YouTube is TV. Gee, it must feel good that you got such a head start on that.
Yeah, I must say there was so much education that went on for so many years, and trying to break down that skepticism was always a kind of uphill battle. So yeah, it's nice now to feel like, oh, okay, we're part of the industry now.
Absolutely. I think that is the idea. We're all the same industry. This is not a separate industry. This is what the screen industry looks like right now. So when people come to you from the kind of, traditional media space, what are the problems that they're having and that they want you to help with?
I guess one of the main things that we're seeing is that for a long time they were B2B businesses, and now they need to figure out how to create a B2C presence. How do they go from just working with commissioning opportunities or networks or distributors and now suddenly how do I put my content out there to the audience? And so that's quite a big philosophical change for any company to go through. And it's not just about what you create, but it's how you operate. It's some pretty foundational stuff to a business. A lot of people are doing kind of a short-term thinking. Oh, I can make some quick cash if I put my content here. Or they might be thinking, oh, I can just hire a really small team to just do this on the side. And it's not really thinking about it holistically and how they can change the way that social media provides opportunities for their business as a whole.
Can you talk about that in a bit more detail? Like, how is it that you use this B2C opportunity that we've got now to create sustainable sources of income?
The obvious one and the main one, I guess, to start with is ad revenue. Rather than just putting content out as either marketing content or seasonal, 6 episodes here and 6 episodes there, talking about how you can create long-term sustainable presence on social media. And the way I often think about it is like, rather than thinking about it as distributing content, it's more about like building a community of fans around what it is that you create. And so to do that, you really want to be there all the time. They're there all the time. And so it's about creating something that's like year round. You spoke about it when we sat on a panel together in Lennox about like diversified revenue streams. I think you used the term revenue stacking. Was it?
Stacking, revenue
Yeah,
stacking.
which I love that. That's kind of part of it as well. Having a sustainable business means having some reliability within that. And ad revenue is challenging at the best of times. So being able to think about how do I foster them so that they can create like an ongoing sustainable business for me.
Yeah, I think that's a real change. It's from chasing that big commission. I mean, still chase that big commission, but knowing that they're fewer and fewer to create sustainability, going, okay, well, I'll keep doing that. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to also explore these other stacks of revenue. But when you get into that space, it is relentless. Like once you start posting and building that relationship, you can't post and ghost. You have to have a sustainable strategy as well.
Absolutely. And that's the challenging thing. And that's, I guess, why it's so difficult when you just kind of try and create a Band-Aid fix on something. It's such an operational shift, trying to think about how you can create content year round. This is the demand of the algorithm. They need me to be posting at least once a week in long form and short form. And the content needs to be of this certain caliber. So then working backwards from that, what's an operating model that can facilitate that? I'm trying to shoehorn an old operating model to create something like that, because that would be really difficult. That would be very unsustainable.
I think you're right. And it does actually mean that within, production companies that are established, there are some new roles that are required. When people come to Totem, they're outsourcing that part of the business. But if you did want to build a production company where you're bringing it in-house, then you're actually going to need some new skills within your company.
100%. We find that all the time.
And so those skills are things like people who can edit, people who can understand data. Are there other key skills that you really need to be able to serve this social media beast and create the benefit of the B2C business?
One thing that's interesting is the role of the producer and how you tell stories. You have to think about not just the story in the video, but you have to think, what is that title and what is that thumbnail? You have to almost think about that first. So you need someone who has the ability to really think of an audience first perspective. The number of creators out there who do that first, they literally design their thumbnail and title first because they're trying to serve their audience, and then they write whatever it is that they're going to produce. That's a skill set that I think is important. I think you mentioned like understanding analytics, being able to read the data and using that to inform the content decisions that you make. That's super important as well.
How do you go about building content that really connects with people? What are the secrets that you think really make that content pop on a platform like YouTube?
You do really have to understand your audience, and it probably sounds a little clinical for, the artists and the storytellers, but the idea of really having to understand who your audience is, do that research, do that analysis, look at what it is that they enjoy, and super serve that audience. A bit of a mistake sometimes where people can try and offer too much to too many people. Then the algorithm actually doesn't know what to do with you. It doesn't know who to give your content to. Whereas if you kind of have a really clear picture of who your audience is, and every time you put something up there like, that speaks to me, yes, then the algorithm is happy with you and it can continue to like serve up your content to those people that it can rely on. Another thing that I think gets overlooked is community management and really getting into those comment sections, not only your own comment sections, but other comment sections, and actually being an active part of the community online can make a huge difference to the way that your audience interacts with you and sees you, and you become more than just a kind of broadcast channel.
Yeah, it's a two-way conversation. People want to feel that they belong to something and that belonging is authentic. Actually, someone who they're talking to directly. I think when you look at a company like Glitch Productions that are doing so well, that sense of engagement is so much part of their global success right now.
100%. Yeah. It's definitely about, fostering that two-way engagement.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about that idea of niche that you were just touching on and how it doesn't work to try and be everything to everyone? You really do have to pick your lane and the algorithm rewards you for that. Can you talk to us about how that works?
Yeah, and actually this is different from platform to platform. This is a pretty YouTube specific recommendation. What it will do is it will take your content and it will serve it to a small subsection of the audience. It'll keep doing that until it finds a kind of group that likes it. So when you launch a channel, you have this opportunity to kind of have a large viewership initially, because it's doing this thing where it's trying to find who it is that likes your stuff. When it finds who likes your stuff, that's the people that it will serve your next upload to. And so then you'll upload another one, it'll give it to that audience again. So if you've gone and uploaded something about like dog grooming, and then you suddenly change to interior design, and that audience gets served that video about interior design, they're going to disconnect, and YouTube is going to go, well, that's a bad video. And this audience isn't satisfied by this channel, so we'll put less effort into the discoverability of this next video, because YouTube's goal is to make the audience happy.
So whatever your audience likes, them getting more of what they like. So it also comes back to the knowing your audience and knowing what it is about what you're doing that they're responding to, because it could be the knitting or it could be the fact that you're telling really great jokes. You have to understand that part of what's working.
Yeah, so having really good self-awareness is really important. And then, using as much data as you can to create that big picture of like, why are they coming to you? What is it? What is the value that you bring? And it doesn't mean you can't be diverse in what you offer, but it has to serve that same audience group.
How do you do that as a creative person and not feel constrained? How do you do it and still feel that you can express yourself?
Totally. And that's when you see creators out there who have more than one channel. And then the demand of 2 channels, you have to deal with that. But I must say, Facebook, TikTok, some of those platforms are much more forgiving in that regard. They will allow you to have more diverse content, and they don't kind of penalize it you in the same way.
So it is also about knowing the platform and what's working within that platform. This episode of We Interrupt This Broadcast is sponsored by AFTRS, the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. For more than 50 years, AFTRS has been working with our industry, always delivering incredible education and training to our Australian storytellers. So if you're looking for a full-time course or a short course, if you want to be on campus or online, anywhere in Australia, AFTRS has a course that's going to suit you. The algorithms are changing all the time, right? They're updating and changing. So what changes have you seen of late? There's specific things you're like, 6 months ago we could have done this and now we can't.
6 months seems like not much time, but so much happens in 6 months. One of the big ones is Facebook has changed the way they monetize content. So now it's not just videos that monetize, but your image posts monetize, your stories, your reels, and your text posts even monetize. So there's a lot more opportunity to create revenue from any content that you have. Still, video is the main one because there's more ad placement options. So that's still where we drive most of our revenue. And on the YouTube front, the big thing was shorts and the way they were handling shorts. With everything that was going on with TikTok in the US, we noticed some really big levers being pulled in the back end of YouTube. I don't know what they were doing, but shorts would go through the roof, and some things when shorts would not work at all. And that happens a lot when they're launching a new feature. Things kind of oscillate wildly for a couple of months until they kind of figure out their groove. If anyone's been working in the short space on YouTube, I'm sure you've noticed the same thing, where there was a bit of unpredictability for a minute, and now we're back on track with shorts being quite a big priority for the platform.
It seems like a lot of the platforms, particularly Facebook, Insta and YouTube, are positioning themselves for trouble with TikTok, making a bit of a play for the short form video as well, preparing for the possibility that TikTok could not be the platform it once was.
Totally. Exactly right.
Can you also talk to us about the massive upgrades that YouTube did a few months ago in terms of using AI for language?
They're always introducing new creative tools. They're always introducing new ways to reach more audiences. We really love using A/B testing tools within the YouTube ecosystem. We used to use third parties, and now we're able to use more and more the native tools, so you can test multiple thumbnails or multiple titles and see which one connects with your audience better. We used to be first adopters when it came to a lot of YouTube's new tools, like especially ones like AI dubbing and things like that. But we did notice that Oftentimes there are some kinks they need to iron out. And so we like to kind of test it slowly before we leap into it. For example, with the AI dubbing tool that's become available, there are some limitations. Sometimes it doesn't always get the gender of the speaker right. Once you turn it on, you can't turn it off. We have large audiences in different markets, and we don't know whether they would prefer to watch the content with the native speaker or dubbed. And if we were to suddenly make it a non-option for them, they can only watch it in German dubbing, but actually they really love the Australian voices, then that's a huge risk. So for us, it's good to test it slowly and see what actually works first.
Yeah, that's a really great point. In this environment where things are changing all the time, how do you at Totem stay agile?
Well, for us, we have to create a very agile operating model, make sure that what we're doing is something that can pivot quite quickly. Also diversifying the revenue streams of the business is important. Just keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on, trying to anticipate what's going to happen over the next 12 months as best as we can. We don't wait till something's already happened before we're kind of starting to make moves to adopt to a new environment.
So you hear the rumbles on the ground and you're already going, okay, how can we adjust if that should come in? That's a really different momentum in a business model as well, isn't it? The changes are going to continue coming. They're going to be so fast that you need to ensure that you've got a flexibility built in to be successful in the long term.
It is the benefit of us also running a consulting business because we have to research to protect our clients. We're always kind of trying to figure out what's the best thing that they can do so that the recommendation we make today is going to be the safe and right recommendation for them in 12 months, 5 years. Because we have that process intrinsic to how we operate, we're doing that naturally for ourselves as well.
All right, let's do a mini masterclass. I'd love to ask you 5 quick-fire questions about best practice on YouTube and then the same 5 quick-fire questions on best practice on TikTok.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Let's start with YouTube. Biggest mistake people make on YouTube?
It's trying to serve too many people. Trying to create content that works for everybody ends up working for nobody.
Most important data on the YouTube platform?
Watch time, without a doubt. Watch time is basically views plus audience retention equals audience satisfaction. So if your watch time is good, you're doing well.
Key element that makes people successful?
Really good content.
Best advice on how to thrive?
Create an operating model that allows you to do what you do year round.
And best content tip?
Make sure that your thumbnail and title and the first 1 minute of your video work really well together so that people see your thumbnail and title, they click on it and they feel immediately like they're going to get satisfied from this video, because there's nothing worse than a misleading or a hook or a title that relates to something later in the video. People will disconnect and switch off.
Brilliant. All right, let's do TikTok. Biggest mistake people make on TikTok?
Focusing too much on themselves and not engaging enough with the TikTok community.
Most important piece of data on TikTok?
Same. Audience retention, I would say.
What element makes people most successful on TikTok?
Consistency. Don't stop. Just keep going.
Best advice on how to thrive?
Find your niche and create really good content around it.
And what makes great content on TikTok?
Top content tip is, how do you get people watching from 1 second to the next second to the next second till the end of the video? Getting them to stick around is the most important thing.
Thank you. So, you've been at this for a while. Is it too late for the rest of us? Have we missed the boat? Or are we still in the early days? Where are we in this journey?
Well, I think the industry's certainly matured now. It isn't too late by any means. People are starting out here all the time. If people started 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there might have been a bit of a head start, but it's changing so much. So there's opportunities every day.
And looking ahead, what's Totem future-proofing itself for now, or preparing itself for?
We are working to help future-proof our clients. Understanding how business models can operate in this space is sort of the top of our focus, and how we can help them thrive in this new world order. On a personal level, I'm really excited about AI and how we can use AI to optimize our operating model.
And I was going to ask you about AI. What are the opportunities that you're seeing emerging for your company?
I'm really excited about what we're doing in the operating model. So we're thinking about how AI can make what we do even better. So for example, we've recently rolled out a tool which allows the AI to watch the catalog of content and identify what's going to do best on social media, which clips, which storylines. So I'm really excited about things like that allow our team to do an even better job with what they have because they have these awesome tools at their disposal.
Thinking about the Australian screen industry, what you did with Bondi Rescue was so interesting because you took some IP that was potentially sunsetting, like it had had its day, and you've completely reinvented it. That is a business model for Australian creatives that have IP that's not being used. And I know there are other opportunities that you see for the screen industry in this time.
I mean, we think about YouTube and like we talked about earlier, how it is the new TV. You know, people are watching YouTube in their lounge rooms on their big screens. I think that what we're going to see is so much TV content emerging on YouTube. So there's a huge opportunity there for catalog of TV content to find its place in this new world order. I think the big challenge is, of course, finding ways to commission new content and fund new content. I've seen firsthand the skepticism for a long time and quickly followed up by fear and uncertainty. But if we can look at these new platforms with curiosity and excitement, I think that just that mindset shift will already unlock so much potential opportunities. It's unlimited what you can do. And it isn't one size fits all. Every single producer out there or rights holder has a different opportunity that can be explored within this ecosystem. It's just a matter of looking at it with the right eyes.
And also with being curious, because I think when we're taking IP that's already been created, be it a television show or a film or something like that, it's not just about uploading that and plonking it on YouTube. It is potentially about doing some re-edits, going what's going to work on this format, looking at the energy, the communication style, also looking at like your long-term strategy, not just dumping it, but how are you creating that community over time and what ways can you use that piece of content to create some consistency as well, right?
100%. I mean, one thing that I observe on our channels is that the full episode content, it does really well, but it serves a kind of more niche audience than things like compilations, clips that are kind of more accessible to a broader audience. The benefit of YouTube and a platform like YouTube is that you can reach these broader audiences and then within the same ecosystem, pull them in to engage with your long form content or your full episode content and then serve them in so many ways. And then because they're already there and they're already talking to other fans in the comments section, they can start doing things like buying your merch or subscribing to your membership platform and getting engaged in a much deeper way than they could before.
So it's looking at that IP, the long tail of it, but also the fact that you can repurpose it in different ways, going, okay, I've got this great series or this great film, this piece of IP that already exists. How many different ways could I cut it and slice it to draw an audience in, also give them awareness of it to then, at some point they might watch the long form, but also if they're just watching it as a whole lot of clips, that's also valuable engagement with the IP as well, right?
100%. And the way we think about it is we reimagine an episode into all the different types of online formats. And each of those formats serves a purpose. For some of them, it's about tapping into a brand new audience. For some, it's about broad appeal and reach. For some, it's about super serving the fandom. For some, it's about promoting the full episode. So everything kind of has its place within a really smart content strategy. It's the same content, but it's not the same content.
There are formats like top 10 moments that are working within YouTube that you don't have to reinvent that. You know that they work and you can also lean into them, right?
Totally. Some of them are definitely tried and tested. So yeah, compilations, listicles, reacts videos, a lot of those things have been done before and you can find inspiration online for sure.
Best advice you'd give moving forward to anyone who's looking at this space?
If it's a relatively new space for you, I would watch a lot of content online. I would really get to know the creator ecosystem as well. I feel like this is maybe the first year I've seen the creator ecosystem and the traditional media ecosystem talking to each other. And, we're doing a lot of work to kind of bridge that gap with some of our clients over in the US, working with some really big creators and helping them distribute their content on television, for example. And so this is the first time I've ever seen it. Up until now, they're separate worlds. And so if people working in legacy media or traditional media pay attention to what creators are doing and vice versa, then I think that the opportunities are endless.
And the opportunities go both ways. This is not a one-way track. It's not about, forget everything that traditional media's got. It all has to be creator or the other way around it. It is about going, how can we build an ecosystem that helps more people see our stories?
100%. I mean, a lot of the creators that we're working with, they really know their space, but they don't know anything about what's worked before. And so there's opportunity to share that wisdom with that side of the industry as well.
So interesting to talk to you, Amelia. I really appreciate your time. We always finish the podcast asking people for one big idea that would make the screen industry better for all of us. So what's your big idea?
Okay, my big idea, it solves a personal problem for me, selfishly. But my big idea is around education and around training up the next generation of media professionals so that they really understand the new world order. You know, I'm working with a lot of people who come straight out of university. We have a lot of entry-level positions here in the editing or production or media space. And even they come with a kind of mindset that relates to a traditional media world. And so we have to educate them internally around how to operate in this new space. So I would love to see new education opportunities specifically for the new media industry.
I want to do that course when you start it, please.
Yeah. One student signed up.
Thanks so much for your time, Amelia.
Thank you, Julie. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
We Interrupt This broadcast is recorded on the unceded lands of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation and the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains, and we acknowledge them as the traditional custodians and first storytellers of these regions. Always was, always will be.